picture it in my head that we're all going to get together and guide people in how they're going to do it and give them great support, because that's what swimrun's all about, right? We all help each other.
Welcome to the Low Tide Boyz, a swimrun podcast. I'm Chip.
And I'm Chris, and this is episode 219 of the show. We've got a great one for everyone this week. Joining us from England to talk about the inaugural Studland Swimrun, where Chipper and I are from, is race director David Trehane. This race is a labor of love by someone who loves swimrun as much as we do, safe to say, if not more.
Safe to say.
If that's even possible, he's right up there with us. We do a deep dive on this newest event to hit the UK swimrun calendar with a course overview / Tourism Bureau advertisement, and so much more.
Yeah, we need to... How do we hit up the UK? Maybe they can send some pounds over our way for Pump and Reg. Sure. And the Studland joke I will never tire of hearing that. And it won't be the last time you'll hear this throughout the interview. So just strap in, folks, if that one gives you a fit of giggles like it does me. Yeah. But first, training update. We haven't had a training update in a while. We had Partners Month and we were focused on that. But we continue to train, as you may be seeing on Strava as well.
Yeah, I ran a crazy 50K a couple of weeks ago.
I was going to say, Chris, do you want to speak to your 50K? I know you had been talking about that.
It was fun. Another inaugural
It was
event.
the inaugural event.
Yeah, the Big Alta in my neck of the woods. Trails that I run a lot, except for so it's basically over the most northern two ridges of Marin County, and the most northern ridge is the one I hang out with. I hang out at most of the time. That's Big Rock. I've dragged Chipper up there a bunch of times. So it was cool to do the ridge that's just south of that and then cross over to my ridge, essentially, and race around. So it was good.
Yeah.
It's good. Nicest day in 5 months.
It was a big day. You got to work on some of your fueling. I know you had been working on that. You got some fancy New Balance carbon trail shoes to use. Your new pack, all sorts of fun stuff, but you have a couple more trail runs on the books for this year.
Yeah,
so
it's cool though.
It's good. Good miles in the bank early on. I had a couple benchmarking sessions for my training a bit ago in the pool and doing some running sessions. So good to kind of see where things are at there. But that's something that I haven't done in a while. So it's kind of interesting to see how it.
And you've really been leaning in on the strength, which is great to see. That'll pay dividends, I promise.
I have. And if you notice my area, this is a very inside baseball and studio.
Let the record reflect that Chipper is pointing to a portion of his garage.
To a portion of my garage that is cleaner than it normally is, safe to say.
Yeah, it is cleaner. Damn. Nice job.
I'm solo parenting this week, and I made it happen in the garage. Whilst the kid's sleeping, I got to work. I just got to work, throwing some weights around, sweating all over the place. But I think strength training is something, and mobility, and stretching and stuff is something that I know both of us have been really diligent about this year there. But
for sure,
we continue to train. I think we do have an announcement that we're happy to share. We are switching and pivoting our A race for the season from ÖTILLÖ Engadin to up north to ÖTILLÖ Whistler this summer. So we're just sliding at a weekend, and we're staying on the same continent. Still bringing the families. Still really excited about that race taking place on July 7th.
Yep. Stay tuned for lots more information about ÖTILLÖ.
Absolutely. So we hopefully will see you all there. Nice West Coast swim run just outside of Vancouver area. So we're really excited to head up there in early July. Spend 4th of July in Canada. Let's see.
Be nice.
Yeah. And Canada Day is on the 1st of July, I believe. So maybe we can get a little bit of taste of whatever Canada Day has.
I'm sure it's great.
I'm sure it's fabulous. Now on to this week's shout out.
Yeah, this week's shout out goes out to our newest patron on Patreon, Aaron M. Dude, thank you so much for the support. We hope to see you at a race in the near future. Maybe ÖTILLÖ Whistler. Just throwing it out there.
We'll be there. We'll see you there, Aaron. Thank you for the support there, and to all of our patrons who support us on a monthly basis there. If that's something that tickles your fancy, you can find that link in the show notes. But we really do appreciate all the support on that side of things. Now to Feats of Endurance. This week's winner, multi-time winner. This person's won multiple times because she goes she just drops these badass.
She just does feats of endurance.
She does feats of endurance. It's our friends and fellow Novato swim runner Sarah Fergot. She raced the Muck Marin Ultra Challenge 50 miler in the beautiful, heavenly Marin Headlands over the weekend. We did the Muck 50K last year, if folks might remember.
Yeah, and I did the 50 miler, or tried to do the 50 miler a few years ago.
Oh, right, but you took a wrong turn.
So ended up being the 50K. It was like the most depressing 50K.
Yeah.
Actually, pretty good 50K time, all things considered. But like, talk about a bummer.
Yeah. So kudos to Sarah. And I think the biggest feat was she, the night before, was out late, probably past bedtime, attending a riveting talent show for the elementary school children. Her son was performing. Chris's daughter was performing.
Yeah,
me and my
was there,
daughter.
Moral support.
We came to support and get shaken down for, you know, a $2 bag of M&Ms and give some cheers.
Fun
and,
size.
Talking
fun size people.
Yeah, it was leftover Halloween candy.
Yeah.
Basically.
It's crazy.
So you can track Sarah's feats of endurance. She's not done for the year.
No,
and
she's
in fact, she did the big Ulta back to back.
Double.
She did the double. So she did the race.
She did
Chris
the 50K with me, which was a beast, and then the next day, just like
did a
casually
28K
did
or
the
something.
28K. Yeah.
So she's training up, I believe, for the Tahoe 200 this year, maybe. So
yeah,
obviously
that's 200 miles. People.
It's 200 miles of running, but you know, we'll let Sarah deal with that there. But major congrats, Feats of Endurance this week. Head on over to the Low Tide Boys Strava Club. Join Sarah, the Low Tide Boys, and other swim runners from around the world as we train for stuff like ÖTILLÖ Whistler or Tahoe 200 or the Turkey Trot.
Yeah.
Now, for a little bit of show business.
Tell us about the show business.
Well, Chris, I'm glad you asked. So we have a huge contingency of American swim runners that are headed across the pond to Stockholm, Sweden to race ÖTILLÖ, the Swim World Championship. And we always talk about, we have so many episodes about all this content. We finally have a new piece of content for you all. Actually, a listener suggestion. We've assembled, much like the Avengers, we have assembled all of our content, whether that be episodes, blog post, in one easy place on lowtideboys.com. We have the ultimate guide to ÖTILLÖ, the Swim World Championship. Here you'll get, our in-depth course previews that we did with Oscar Olsen, the third leg breakdowns there.
Yeah,
we
our
have
monthly anxiety
therapy sessions, the ÖTILLÖ specific fueling and gear combos that we've had with like Andy Blow and Helen Wickmar of ARC Sports, our very own race reports, as well as race reports from other folks that have done it. So if you are looking to educate and consume ÖTILLÖ, the Swim World Championship content, we have a page that has it all in a nice, tidy place for you there.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that's not on that page is a ton of YouTube links to like ÖTILLÖ hype videos for movies, but go to YouTube for those as well, because I mean, I'm a huge swimmer nerd, obviously, but some of those old, like the 30, 40 minute are great. They're so great.
And it is cool, and it's a lot of inside baseball type stuff. But you could really see, especially if you look at the older ones, you can just see how much the gear has evolved and the fueling
is a good year if you just want to watch some random like historical ÖTILLÖ content.
Yeah, so check that out, lowtideboys.com.
I'm sorry,
under the
not 86, 2018, 2016. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
you're like 86. I was like,
that's like the year it started, basically. No, sorry.
So head on to lowtideboys.com. It's under the resources tab on the website there. And once you're on YouTube, you might as well smash the subscribe button to the Low Tide Boys YouTube channel over there. Always a plug for that. Now for a little bit of a chinwag with our friends from Studland Swimrun.
Yeah, chinwag, or a proper natter, which is apparently another term. David taught us this term is another way of saying chinwag. So we're just learning all this lingo.
We're getting all the Britishisms.
Well, David, he's a longtime swim runner, first-time race director, and just like an all-around great guy. In this conversation, we talked about the genesis for the Studland Swimrun, We get a course preview and just so much more. This was really a stellar conversation, and we promised him that we would do his race. Well, I promised on behalf of us that we would do his race. And if this isn't on your bucket list, it will be.
Absolutely. And at the time of recording, there was 3 slots open.
3 slots.
So if it's of any interest,
better get on.
You better go register right this second, because by the end of the episode, it could be gone.
Yeah, and we told David, our listeners, we're good for 3 race entries at least.
We committed to at least try to get them 3.
So let's sell this thing out.
Absolutely. So yeah, a really great chat with David. Very passionate about swimrun. Saw a need for a swimrun there on his local trails that he's running on all the time, and is really great to see him, answer the call and put a swimrun on. Really great reception. 3 distances there. Couldn't be more excited for him, and really rooting for a really successful launch for the first edition of the Studland Swimrun, where Chris and I reside from. But without any further ado, let's head over to our conversation with David, the Studland Swimrun course preview.
/ honorary chairman of the Chamber of Commerce.
Sponsored by the UK Tourism Board.
Yes.
Well, should be sponsored by.
Best of luck, Bournemouth Football Club.
Proper natter.
Yes. All right, very excited to introduce to the program David Trehane. He is the race director and founder of Studland Swimrun, a race that, for Chipper and us, I mean, that's like our race, right? Because we're honorary residents of Studland. Okay, I totally butchered that intro. David, welcome to the show.
Oh, God, It's really great to be here. Thank you. Wow. Yeah, brilliant to be here. And you can be residents of Studland if you want to be. That's fine.
Awesome. Yeah, well, we've known about you for a while. You've been a listener of the show for a long time, giving us feedback, which we've always really appreciated. So it's really great to get you on the program and talk about this race. So why don't you tell us a little about how you found swimrun and what could have possibly possessed you to want to put on an event?
Oh, I know, right? I know. It's one of those. It's one of those things that you kind of slip into, isn't it? For me, I found swimrun as a sport quite a few years ago now. I think my first swimrun was 2017, 2018, something like that. And because I'd always swum and I'd got into running once I reached the grand old age of 40, put the two together into trail running and open water swimming. Well, what's not to like? So that got me into swim running, and I'm very fortunate to live in a beautiful part of the UK down on the south coast, and that was really the start of it. Really, my background was in surf lifesaving as well, so I spend a lot of time on the water, and it's my favourite place to be. Love it, absolutely love the water. So once we got to as far as Studland's concerned, the UK has got a massive growth at the moment in people wanting to do swimrun, and there are fantastic swimruns down in Cornwall with Mad Hatters. There are fantastic swimruns up in the east of the country. There are fantastic swimruns now in the north of the country and in Wales. But on the central south coast where we are, nothing, complete black spot. And it just made sense to turn some of the runs that I'd used in my training for swimrun into an event, and that's how Studland was born. And so here it is. This is our first year. It's massively exciting. It's massively daunting. What possessed me to start this? I have no idea yet. How well it's going to go, I'll tell you on the 16th of June once it's all over and I've slept for a night.
Registration open now, by the way. I'm sure I will note. I love that because, I think that experience sort of started happening to Chris and I when we did a swim run or two, like all the trails that we would run on. And whenever there was water, maybe it was more me than Chris, but I would be like, oh, I bet we could you kind of start seeing different courses unfold on your runs and everything. Some of our bodies of water are more questionable than others.
You do Chris, though. And when you go out and do trail runs and things and you're anywhere near water, you go, oh, that could be a nice little swim entry, couldn't it? And you find yourself doing that anywhere you go nowadays. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you get an electric car, all of a sudden, you're used to knowing where all the gas stations are. Now you just know where all the electric charging stations are. You just kind of have like a different
perspective,
different lens that you put on things. And I'm curious, as a resident of Studland, how hard was it to get sort of local buy-in? Permitting and things like that, or how's that going and to get this race off the ground?
I think we were very, very lucky. I've been working on this since April last year. So yeah, it's coming up for a year now, since we started talking to people. And as far as local authorities are concerned, really, really supportive. Our main landowner is an organisation called the National Trust, which is a huge landowner over here. And they were very, very supportive indeed. To get permission to use Studland Beach itself in the middle of June on a Saturday was a big coup for us. It's quite unusual for them to give permission for that, but they were very, very supportive. I think really we only had the National Trust and Swanage Town Council as main people to get permissions from. And they were both fantastically supportive. They're brilliant. Love the idea and wanted to get behind it straight away. Great as far as that's concerned. As far as the locals are concerned, we've had some people come up to us when we're out wrecking routes and things and ask what we're doing, and they're like, "Oh, that's fantastically exciting. That could be epic for the bay." So fingers crossed. I think it's going to be a great event. And also, when you're saying registration's open, actually registration's closed now. We're full.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome!
Wow.
We are
congratulations.
Full. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
There are. I think actually there are 3 spaces left. Literally 3 people, and we are now into reserve territory of people, just in case other people drop out. So yeah, it's full, which I am stoked about. I'm so excited.
Well, you'll get the really fast clickers after this episode drops to snatch those 3 spots up or get first in line in the queue there.
Safe to say we're probably good for at least 3 registrations when people listen to this show.
I think we're safe for quite a few registrations. Yeah, there'll be a reserve waiting list. I'm excited.
That is excellent.
Well, that's really awesome that the officials were really embracing it. I know did you run into any trouble? We've heard from other race directors that we've talked about, whether that be here in the States or across the pond or whatever, like having a hard time kind of wrapping their mind around it. Like, I think most officials understand, like, a triathlon, like swim, bike, run, they kind of get it. But the swim run and the alternating, did you have any issues getting the concept of it through to them?
Thankfully not. Mainly helped with the main guy that we had to deal with at the local council in Swanage, which is the main town that we go through. He is a triathlete, and his wife has competed in the swim run. So
perfect.
Talk about oiling the wheels, right?
Yeah.
Grease those skids up right there. That's perfect. I love that. Yeah. And really cool to see about the event. Specifically, you have 3 different distances, sort of borrowing a little bit from the ÖTILLÖ style of races, sort of an intro distance, a middle, and then a long. Walk us through some of your thinking on having 3 separate distances there.
I think the biggest thing for us was we wanted to be absolutely approachable for people who had never done a swim run before. Mm-hmm. That was the biggest thing for us. We want people to come to Studland having never done a swim run, get on that starting line and feel confident that they can do it. So that was the idea behind the short distance. But at the same time, my background is in much longer distance swim runs. And so the distances that I've trained on that area were most of the longer distance stuff. So I had to put in my favorite training run in there as well.
Yeah.
It was just a must. So that created what is currently the long distance. And then we were talking to people and I took some people around the short distance. They were like, well, this isn't short enough for us. So we added a bit more on and made a middle distance as well. And so here we are. We've got 3 different distances. Now, what's interesting is that the split in terms of participants is pretty much within 3 or 4 people identical between all 3 distances.
Wow.
There is no, most people are going to do the short distance, which is what I thought was going to happen. Or, there's going to be much less people doing the long distance because it's a bit more hardcore. No, it is pretty much exactly the same across all 3 distances.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, in a second here, let's do like a leg by leg preview of the long course just to give people a flavor. But just looking at the photos on the website and my own sort of internet research on Studland, it does not. I mean, it's not a. It looks pretty hilly. It looks pretty challenging. It looks like it's going to be true to swim run in the sense that this isn't like downhill the whole way kind of thing.
Oh no. But then when you say downhill all the way, we've always got to remember wherever there's a downhill, there's always an uphill, right?
That is true.
True, exactly. I always think like Ironman, where it's like, the swims are downstream, the bikes are flat, and then the, whatever. Anyway, this is not that. So yeah, let's just give folks listening kind of a preview of what it looks like. Why don't we go through sort of the long course really quickly, just sort of a leg by leg sort of distances, what you're thinking, and how people can approach these different legs.
Well, I think you can break this long distance down into 3, maybe 4 segments that are fairly defined in their characteristics. The first segment is between Knoll Beach, which is the main part of Studland Beach, where there's a visitor centre and our start line and the cafe and all that sort of things. There are also the Studland saunas. Let's talk about that in a minute, because that's a really important part for us with our participants. So from Studland Beach, we've got 2 runs and 2 swims, and that takes us kind of southwest a little bit, and that takes us up onto Ballard Down, where the main focal point of the run, which is our branding, which is Old Harry Rocks. Old Harry Rocks are a fantastic rock formation with a big white stack, and it marks the beginning of the first real hill, if you like. So from Old Harry, we take an uphill. It's a long, slow, gradual, shall we say, gentle burner uphill to the top of Ballard Down. There's nothing particularly technical about that. You're running on a grass downland until you get to the top of Ballard Down. Once you reach the top, that's also the turn point of the middle distance. The top of Ballard Down gives you 365-degree sweeping views, looking down over Swanage and Peveril Point, which the long distance are going to be running through both of those on one side. And then on the other side, you're looking over Bournemouth Bay. So you've got the big conurbation of Bournemouth and Poole and Christchurch. Lots of houses and big hotels and that type of thing. You've probably got the ferry going back down below you as well. That's the main ferry that goes from Poole to Cherbourg over in France and also the Channel Islands. And then once you drop down over Ballard Down, you're dropping down into Swanage, and you've got some nice technical running going downhill. It's pretty technical. There are some lovely little stones and things that could trip you up if you're not careful. But it's a lovely run downhill. The first swim after Ballard Down is the long swim. We're hoping we've got some challenges with this course at the moment because the winter storms have washed quite a lot of our paths away. So they're trying to rebuild them at the moment. So we're hoping to get you into the water at a place called Sheps Hollow, which is the beginning of Swanage Beach. That then gives you a 1,500 metre swim across Swanage Bay, takes you out of the place called Banjo Pier. Don't ask me why it's called Banjo Pier. I actually don't know. But it's called Banjo Pier. And there's a big aid station there. That's where a lot of our precision hydration and gels and things for the long distance are on that aid station there. From there, you're running through the town of Swanage, around to a Coast Guard station called Peveril Point. From there, you're getting down below the cliffs. You've got a lovely climb over some rocks, true swim run territory. climb over some rocks into the next swim, across Peveril Bay, and you've got a lovely. I keep on saying lovely, don't I? Because I really enjoy these technical bits, and they are quite hard.
I think it's lovely, you know.
It is. It's great. And there's a good climb up the cliff. It is a path going up the cliff, but it is up the cliff, so it's pretty steep. Up to the top, you run around to Durlston Castle, which is a lovely sort of tourist area, I'd say. Run around Tillywim Caves. Now, this whole area was well known for slate mining back in the day, and there are lots of caves where the stone was mined. And Purbeck stone is famous for its qualities, also in building materials as well. And so you run past the caves, up around some very technical paths going up to the lighthouse at Durlston, and turn around there. That's your turn point for long distance, and you run back along. You're not running exactly the same course, but you're running back over to Swanage, a short hop back across to Banjo Pier, and then round up onto the top of Ballard down the back way. So not the same way as they came down, but the back way. Nice ascent up onto the top of Ballard down, sweeping down to Studland again, and then a short hop and a skip with a run and a swim, and you're back onto the finish line, and it's all done for the day. That, gents,
just like
is the
that.
Just like that.
It sounds lovely. So,
do you know what? It is. I mean, it's a fantastic, fantastic course that I've done so many times now, and I'm so used to it, and I'm just so excited to introduce other people to it. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, and the total distances there are around 19 Ks of running and almost 5K of swimming for the long distance there. So 23, 24 Ks of work for the day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a super long distance one. Maybe we'll get to that in future years. There's plenty of scope in that area, but it's a good distance, and it's a challenging course, so it should be good.
Yeah, and it's great that you already have buy-in from we're good friends as you are with the Precision Fuels and Hydration folks, and we know that it's actually really close to their new headquarters, so they're really going all in on this, and it's sort of their company retreat is going to be at Studland this year, which is should be fun.
It's going to be great. I've been good friends with those guys for quite a long time now, and we love them dearly, and great to have them on board.
Yeah, for sure.
So can I have a quick mention of, I've mentioned it earlier, of the Studland sauna. And
please.
So this is something that's creeping in to fashion in our area, certainly on the beaches. And we've got lots of beach saunas. It's a tradition that people can go into the water when it's nice and cold, or it doesn't matter what temperature, have a dip in the water, and then come out onto the beach, and you've got a beach sauna. And we're very, very fortunate that Studland has got some beautiful saunas on the beach there, and we've managed to get those guys involved in the swim run, so that everybody that's finishing the swim run has a complimentary 15-minute sauna as well. So there's no massages. You can go and sauna for 15 minutes and relax your muscles. It's going to be incredible.
I love it.
I know that's a popular thing to do, depending on how your journey is at ÖTILLÖ. Keep your wetsuit on. You can really warm yourself back up quite easily.
I think you'd be dripping inside that wetsuit, wouldn't you, with the sauna?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, this episode is brought to you by the Studland Tourism Bureau. In case that was it.
And the sauna.
Okay, so let's say folks are coming in, non-locals. Like, what's the best way to get to Studland? Is it flying to London, and then how do you get down?
Depends on where they're coming from, really. We're very fortunate here that on the central south coast, we're about an hour and a half to 2 hours away from London town itself. We're also very easily accessible by air. Bournemouth Airport has got good flights coming in from all over Europe. Failing that, Southampton, which is 40 minutes away from us. That's got even more flights coming in from Europe. And the train line comes straight into Bournemouth. And there's a bus service if people want to do public transport from there. using the Purbeck Breezer, which is an open-top bus that goes from Bournemouth Town Centre all the way over to literally right outside the gate to Studland, to Knoll Beach itself. Very, very easily accessible. Very easy.
Love it.
Nice. What sort of weather temperatures can one expect this time of year in water, if you have general guesstimates?
Normally in June, middle of June, we're expecting water temperature around about 17, middle 17, so it's not too cold, it's not hot either. Air temperature, we should be around about 20 by then. Maybe slightly warmer on a lovely day. Studland Bay itself, very, very sheltered by Ballard Down from our southwesterly prevailing wind. It does get storms, but not normally in June, so we should be
double fingers crossed.
Double fingers, and toes crossed as well. That the weather gods are going to shine on us that day.
Nice. It sounds like a good. By the time you're getting properly heated up on the runs, there's a nice crisp swim to refresh you for a bit there. And I love the long swim distances in there. Nothing under 500 meters on that, including the larger one that you have of 1,400 meters. So plenty of good ocean swimming there.
Yeah, there is. There's some lovely swimming in there. It's going to be great. I think anything less than sort of 300, 400 meters is good if you're crossing a bay or something like that. This sort of distance, I think, is perfect. It really allows you to stretch out and get into the swim. Which I love. I think I love that part of the swim run.
Yeah, and it's also nice just to have a lot of swimming. I think there's some of us in the sport. EX Swimrun is one where they're really trying to. They call it like the SWIFA score, the percentage of SWIFA. I don't know, the percentage
Sounds
of
about
swimming right. in a swim run where it's like it looks like it's been creeping down, but anything between 15 and 20% just makes it just much more fun, and also like ups the challenge aspect as well, which I think for a lot of us, like one of the big things that draws us to swim run is the level of difficulty and the fact that this is a big challenge that you have to respect and train for it and take seriously. So this race definitely fits right into that mold, which is just great to see.
What's your favorite in terms of swim and run balance? Do you prefer the longer swims or the longer runs?
Well, I think it depends. I'm a stronger runner than I am a swimmer. So I feel like I need to kind of train up for the swims more. But that being said, Chipper's 10 years younger than me and he's a pretty strong swimmer. So as long as I can stay on his feet, then it's like, yeah, I'm up for anything.
Yeah, Chris likes to reserve his energy and then like take off like a thoroughbred once we hit land, and I'm like trying to like get my heart rate in a better place.
You guys sound just like me and my swimrun partner Ben. He's a mountain goat going up hills, and he's a very strong swimmer as well. So I'm always behind him on the swims, always.
Hey, you know what? It's that we should make T-shirts. Being not leading the swims is not a demerit in any way. It's actually where you want to be, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a good, it provides it's a good balance. It makes sure no one's resting, and no one's getting too much recovery on that, and really pushing yourself on either leg there. So it is a good time.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. A nice balance between both run and swim, like that.
Yeah. And then I know we touched a little bit on the long course. I assume, or looking at the maps a little bit, does the middle distance take some of that course there, and you kind of loop it back a little bit earlier? I would assume, and then the short course as well. Give people a little bit of preview on that.
Yeah, both short course and middle course cover the beginning of the long course. So until they get to Old Harry Rocks, Old Harry Rocks is the turn point for the short course. And then up the top of Ballard Down, that's the turn point for the middle course. So certainly to start off with, they follow the same course. They only peel off a little bit early, depending on the distance.
And I'll say the short / intro course, I mean, I think lovely is just, we're just going to keep using that adjective on everything here. But that one just looks like such a like you get the experience, you still get some climbing, you essentially get just like a smaller dose of the long course, which seems super approachable for people. And it sounds like, people are signing up for that one. It'll be interesting to see. And I'm curious if you have a sense of kind of what the demographics are. Like, are people more wild swimmers, more triathletes, more trail runners? Like who do you think, or from what you know, like who's signing up for these distances?
Well, we know that a lot of triathletes have signed up, and that's partly because of the way that we marketed the event in the first place. We went out to pretty much every triathlon club that we could find, and went out to them and asked them if they wanted to join the event, which was fantastic, really well received. So a lot of triathletes in there, but at the same time, we have a lot of people for whom this sort of event is very much their first event of any kind. So they are completely new to competition in some cases. So we're really looking forward to getting them in. And one of the things that we're doing prior to the actual event itself is we're starting to run some taster days in late April and early May. All the way through May, actually, for people that have never done a swim run before, which are literally just a few hours on Bournemouth Beach down here. Of people coming down, this is how you do a transition. This is how you do a swim with paddles on. This is how you swim with your trainers on. It's not all scary, and trying to just get people introduced to the sport before they get onto the Studland course or any other course that they want to do. So that's going to be quite important to us, and I think growing the grassroots that way is hopefully a good way to do it. In terms of the people, though, we find that there are, there's a good mix between the gents and the ladies. More ladies than gents, if we want to get a bit more fine on it. And they come from all sorts of different areas. But we are now at what are we now? We're at 70, around about 68-70% of people for whom this is their actual first swim run race.
Wow. That's impressive. Nice work.
That's awesome. But, this is something that we talk about a lot, this idea that's like, hey, we really want to grow the sport. You have to grow the base. If something like ÖTILLÖ, the Swimmer World Championship, is sort of like the peak, the mountaintop, you have to have a really wide base to get people into the sport, to try it out. And I mean, that sounds super high to me, and that's congratulations. I mean, that's just really, really positive.
Yeah, I'm stoked by that. I really am. It's great to have new people coming to the sport, and I'm hoping that a lot of the more experienced people, we've got some good names coming down that are experienced swim runners, nice. that I'm sure all of us know very well, and I'm hoping that we're all going to get together with all these newbies. I can picture it in my head that we're all going to get together and guide people in how they're going to do it and give them great support, because that's what swim run's all about, right? We all help each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the friendliest sport out there. I forget
who
said. I think it might have been the As Keen as Mustard ladies, like Nikki or Chelsea. I can't remember, but it's like, it's just the friendliest sport.
Yeah,
and it's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing, and I really hope it stays that way as well.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that Chris and I really latched onto, is that, hey, you're rubbing elbows with people that have been around world champions or whatever, and they're happy to chat with you or give you a little bit of pointers or talk you through some kind of newbie tips and stuff. There was just not that doesn't happen in other sports, but it's just really prevalent in swimrun, which is part of the magic for sure on that front.
It was nice. Sorry, Chipper. It was really nice standing on the start line at one of Nikki and Chelsea's races at Buell Water at the end of last season. And again, they have a lot of new runners coming into their races as well. And it was lovely standing on the start line with these new guys, and listening to their nerves and this is our first time. And it's great to hear both ourselves and other people that have done it before, giving them that guidance. And it's really important, really important. It gives them confidence.
Yeah. And I mean, Chris and I think our goal from even when we started this show is the same of like, if we can get people to these races and get them started, like the sport like sells itself, the experience sells itself, and our job is just to get them there. And I think that experience reigns true. I mean, I remember Chris and I's first real experiences, like, wow, that was really tough, and I'm like really sore. But when's the next one? Like, when's the next one that we can do on that?
Yeah.
And what is it
we couldn't lift our arms up, but we wanted to do more.
Well, we say once you've done a swim run, you never go back. That's what we say, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah, well, I think to echo what Chipper's saying, it's like we just try to get people to that first transition. The ridiculousness of just like running towards a body of water and then continuing. That's really the magic of it. And yeah, I agree. Like, are Chipper and I going to keep doing like 8 swim runs a year into perpetuity? Like, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I think I can't imagine it not losing the special place in my heart that I have for it, because of not just like the coolness of it, but the community of it, and the camaraderie of it, and the challenge of it. I mean, there's just so much. Anyway, we're preaching to the choir, obviously, but there's so much that the sport offers that's sort of like an antidote to a lot of the different types of sort of racing experiences that you can have, where it seems very solitary. It seems very much like a time trial. The swim run is so much more of like an adventure it's just like a day, and things are going to go sideways, and you have to problem solve. And whether you're doing it solo or with a partner, I think the experience is similar, because if you're doing it solo and you're in trouble, like every person on the race is your partner now. And if you're doing it with a partner, then it's your partner's responsibility to take care of you and everyone else. Right. So there's just, again, this is more just like feeding, preaching to the choir here, but yeah, it's a special sport. And I think it's so great that there's folks like you, David, who are just taking it upon yourselves to do your part to help grow it. I think, for us, like we got the podcast, and there's people who are doing rankings, and there's, everyone's trying to help grow this thing in the way they can. And I think it takes us, and I just commend you and thank you for taking the biggest leap, which is actually putting on an event, because, that's a leap of faith. These things are crowdsourced. It's hard. It's I'm sure you're going to be pulling your hair out, but then be super grateful on the other side of it. But yeah, so not really a question there, just mostly like a long drawn out statement of thanks.
Oh, hey guys, I'm really grateful for that. And it's been a massive learning curve for me as well, of how to actually put on a race like this and put it on in the way that I have it in my head, that it should run. We don't know until race day whether it's going to all work out. It probably won't, but it's been a huge learning curve for me to get this together, and I'm really hopeful, and I'm really grateful that it's all going to be a great day on the day as well. And
sure, and I'm sure like other race directors in the area, I'm sure you can hit up Mike, you can hit up Chelsea and Nick, everyone, and just be like, hey, what do you think about this, right? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, the good thing about the UK race side of things is that we all talk to each other on a regular basis. We're all going to the outdoor show in, I think, 2 weeks actually, which is a big outdoor exhibition in Birmingham, and we're all traipsing up to the outdoor show together to support each other and promote each other's races. And there's actually a mini swim run on there as well. I don't know what date this is going out on air, but if it's before the 24th, then hopefully we're going to get some more people signing up to that as well. But we all help each other. We talk to each other regularly, which is brilliant.
Yeah, it's a rising tides lift all ships situation there for sure, especially in this stage of the sport and development. There's no, if more people are signing up for your race, eventually they'll make it to the other races in the area, or they'll be more inclined to sign up for those. It's not a zero-sum game situation.
Yeah, that's right.
On that front. I did want to note you do say you offer a relay option for your race there. Talk us through that a little bit. We wanted to offer a relay. Okay.
We didn't actually get too much of interest in that option this year. We probably didn't put enough effort into getting it off the ground as an option. And that's something to address for next year, probably. But we saw that as a great opportunity to get some teams in there who didn't necessarily want to do either the short distance or do the long distance especially, but wanted to break it up. That was an opportunity we saw, and we didn't get a lot of uptake on it actually this year, but more effort required next year. Note to self.
Yeah, it's something we haven't seen too much of. I know the Trollanese swim run, I think, was the first time Chris and I had heard that they offered a relay option there. When it's an interesting concept there, but swim runs are already, from a race director point of view, probably a pretty tough logistical situation, and to layer on another bit of complexity to that is a bit much sometimes. It seems.
Busing people and stuff. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I got the inspiration from one of my favourite swim runs, well, probably my favourite swim run at Côte Vermeille down on the south coast. And they do an amazing job down there, absolutely amazing job. And they do a very, very good relay option. And I took the inspiration from that. And maybe one day we'll get one off the ground.
Nice.
Well, let's talk about sort of your racing a little bit. I mean, besides race directing, I'm sure that's going to take up a lot of time, but what do you have on the calendar for your own swim run experiences this year?
Well, this year is a quiet year for me. For a couple of reasons. Studland probably being the biggest reason. And also Ben, my race partner, he's having a quiet year as well. So at the moment, we're absolutely looking at Coniston in September. I think I'm also looking at the Hokey Cokey in Charlestown. I'm fairly sure that I'll get to do most of John's races this year, both the Charlestown, Roseland, and the Gribbin. Those are our main ones, I think, for this year. Other than that, not too much on the calendar at the moment.
Yeah. Well, it's nice that you don't need to travel super, super far to get these experiences. I'm curious, have you done Coniston before? Because that one's been on our radar since it was, back in the day when it was a Breco race. And it's nice that it came back. But that one looks really interesting.
Yeah, it does. And I'm really keen to do it. I was born in the Lake District. So it's like going home for me. But I think the fells up there. The fells is an English word, is Northern English word for hills, and the fells are going to be quite challenging, and I think it's going to be an amazing race. It had its first year last year, which was a successful race, and very well run by the guys up there, and if it's on your bucket list, it's another excuse to get you guys over here, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a bunch. I mean, even like Jersey, that race, I don't know if that race ended up coming back, but I remember seeing like some YouTube video about that one. And I was like, wait, where is this? Like, it's kind of like Isle of Scilly. It's like, this place exists? And, and that race is back as well. Yeah. So they're back on. Yeah, Jersey's nice. Back on. And then some folks are putting on Isle of Scilly, which is great too.
Yeah, that's going to be epic. I think, as we said before we came on air, 2024 is going to be the year.
We hope so. When we launched the show in 2020, we were convinced with obviously very like, we're stupid Americans, so everything's sort of America focused, but we're like, ÖTILLÖ is coming to Catalina. This is going to be such a huge thing for the sport. And then, pandemics had other reasons, but we were really convinced it was 2020. But I think you're right, David. I think 2024, people are stoked on it. There's more races in the US. There's more races all over the world, really. And it'll be great if we can all capitalize on this and really just introduce as many people to the sport as possible. Because as we've been saying, it kind of takes care of itself. I mean, obviously not everyone is going to drink the Kool-Aid. That's just, it's just the law of averages, but, we just need to increase that population size to really grow this thing.
It's what we call bums on seats.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Buoys on bums.
Buoys on
probably
bums,
the way that, we can increase the buoys on bums. We're in a good place, I think. Arc would subscribe to that theory as well, I'm sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, David, thank you so much for taking the time. We're super stoked for you. We're super stoked for this race. We'll be watching. We'll be rooting for you. And it's definitely on our list, whether it's, next year or some point where we promise you that we'll make it out there.
Oh, you promise? Okay, I'm going to hold you to that.
I'll even make you promise because I really want to do it. So I just have to convince her, but that's not too difficult. So
yeah,
that's brilliant to hear. Yeah, you guys are welcome over here anytime. There are so many places that we want to take you and hang out and stuff. It'd be great.
Well, that'd be amazing. Well, Again, David, thank you so much. Best of luck with this race. Hopefully, it'll those 3 slots will be filled shortly after this episode releases, and then we'll be following along.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, guys. Been a pleasure being with you.
That's it for this week's episode. Thanks so much for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and leave a rating or review, since that's the best way to help other people discover the show and the sport of swim run.
Check out our website, lowtideboys.com. That's boys with a Z, for swimrun resources, including gear guides, tips, how-to videos, and so much more. Make sure to check out our meme page at The Low Tide Boys on Instagram. If you have any questions or suggestions for the show, send us a DM or email us at lowtideboys@gmail.com.
We'd like to thank Riding Easy Records for our show music, and of course our wives for their support and tolerance of our swim run and other activities.
Lots of activities.
Lots of activities.
Finally, you can support our efforts on Patreon. Until next time, get out there and go for a swim.
Then a run.
And then a swim.
Then another run.
Then another swim.
Then run some more.
Just keep going.
Let's go.
And then stop at some point because,
And fuel. Don't forget to fuel.
Gotta fuel
of course, yes.